Nope.
Oh, was it still going? Did you just have to cut that off?
I don't know where that came from.
Oh
My gosh.
did you just have to cut that off? Sorry, that was me.
Oh.
That's why I'm like, what's going on here?
Hello, everybody. So, today we've got Baphomet.
And Nithhaiah.
Nithhaiah.
I'll tell you in a minute. I'm looking for it. Hang on.
One of those. One of those.
Nithhaiah.
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 Nithhaiah. Sounds like a ninja. But all right. So hello, everybody. Let's see. We have Irish Game.
Oh, are you on your Twitch also? I can't remember the name.
Oh, yes, I am. And I forgot about that. Hi, Twitch as well. Well, that's an interesting, this is an interesting episode to have on both. So we do have a bit of an interesting one for you guys tonight. There are a few things we'd like to cover and talk about, especially with the most recent live that I was involved in. Hello, Maria. Hello, Probably Possessed. And thank you. I love the background too. Oh, I just love them. How do you like? Look, there's my baby. There he is. Oh, yes.
He's over here like petting him earlier.
Here's my baby.
Hi, April.
Hi, Lady Blind Wolf. So, yeah, one of the reasons Rochelle and I set out to do this series, one of the main things or messages that we try to get across, especially on my channel, is breaking stigma, breaking, the way that a lot of us on the left-hand path community are viewed, or the entities that we work with, how they are viewed, right? And now I want to start off by saying this live, I don't feel like anyone was being like malicious on purpose. I don't feel like, the person that I was speaking with had any like bad intent with this. My guess would just be not as familiar as I am with them. And in the heat of moments, on certain topics, one can become passionate about the things they work with, especially if they know how they work and they've built a bond with them over time. And I went into it
just for a second, sweetie. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We're hearing crackling.
Crackling?
I think it's on your mic. Chris said to disconnect your mic and plug it back in, maybe. You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, and I'm hearing just a little bit of crackling, but it's nothing too bad. What about you guys? What do you think?
It's interesting because I don't hear it at all.
I wonder if it's on my side.
I have that.
Okay.
Yeah, I have that book. I really enjoyed that book. But so if a lot of you went back and kind of watched this live I'm talking about, I do appreciate the discussion because it opened up that window of opportunity to nail a few misconceptions, about these entities we're so passionate about. And it was it was a discussion, but it ended up, I went into this live thinking that I was discussing these entities with somebody else that was a practitioner. And it turned out that they never worked with them. And that caught me a bit off guard. And then, of course, for me, it felt more like I was starting to become a lawyer for the demons in that life, arguing their side. And again, I don't want, any hate going to anyone involved. This is just a open discussion about how I feel about that, and a little bit of how we get an example of how we get heat from these things. So it's really important to take a step back and analyze that, and still stress the message that we all are trying to show here, that there's nothing evil to it. It's about our own enlightenment in the end. And it is about truth seeking and knowledge. And even Rochelle, shared a few thoughts. Is there anything you wanted to?
Yeah, I just felt like I was not expecting that. It really kind of threw me off a little bit, because I thought that it was going to be a discussion on working with demons, right? And experiences and stuff like that. And you were clearly the only person there that had worked with demons. I think it was obviously just a misunderstanding,
Right.
but it was confusing, because if you were having to come in and say, well, no, you would have prepared for that, right?
Right.
Let me give you examples here and there. But this is the whole point of this series, because
Yes.
I was there just like over a year ago, being very much raised in a Christian church that, you don't mess with these kind of things. And I think that is fear mongering. I think it is, and I don't mean from Jenna. I just think that it comes from religious programming.
Yeah.
This fear that you don't want to mess with this stuff. And now that I feel like you have opened up this whole new world to me. You've helped me see that it is about fear. It's about blocking yourself. It's about listening to these religions that have continued to try to keep, and I'm not saying all religions, but certain religions that try to keep you in a state of fear and servitude rather than liberating yourself.
Right.
So that's what this series is about. So it kind of felt like it was like taking it backwards rather than going forwards, which is what we're trying to do, to help others, to educate them about the information that we are learning about angels and demons. And one of the things that I'd said was, I don't care if it's a human being. I don't care if it's an angel, a demon, a deity. It doesn't matter. I think you should know who you're dealing with, do some research, and, just be cautious no matter what you're doing. Not just demons. That's not just demons.
Right.
That's anybody other than yourself that you're working with.
Yes.
So,
yeah, so that was kind of our thoughts. Again, it was a lovely, experience, but also a confusing one. But also, I think the positive light in that is realizing that in communities, we can be so passionate about it. And there were points in the live I felt so passionate that I was getting a little angry, but then I had to think about that and really analyze that. As a community, it is okay to have a difference of belief. It is okay to have diverse beliefs. I just think that there's that line though with, but yeah, so I see a question. Can a Baphomet be represented as male and female? Well, we're about to get really deep into that and all the symbology of the Baphomet. So, yeah. And people need to get their facts straight about Baphomet and pentagrams. Very true.
You know what? I have to say, it was just like less than 2 years ago. Seriously, I had seen somebody that's big in the tarot community with the new Baphomet statue. And my response was, well, just be careful because there's going to be bad, negative stuff that's put on that, which can happen. But even my own evolution as far as learning new things and actually opening up myself to new things instead of being in a state of fear. And you are the person that has helped me do that. And that's why I think this is so important, because it wasn't that long ago that I was right there. I was in those shoes, so.
And to make that point perfect. Okay, you're not working with demons. You look at this cup. What does this look like to you? Is it scary? Is it mysterious? Is it dark? Well, what if I told you all this meant, the only thing all of this meant put together on this chalice is unity, balance, and wisdom. So with that being said, I'm going to jump in and give you guys some info about Baphomet, and I'll be going over and breaking down a lot of the symbolism on Baphomet and what it means. And hopefully we can learn something today together, right, guys?
Right.
All right.
I have to say really quick, Maria was right. When you sit right where you're at, the horns are right behind you. You own it, girl. There you go.
That's right.
I love it. Yeah.
I do too. I even like the ears.
I know, really? And that's a crown, isn't it?
It's the torch, which we're about to talk about that.
Okay.
So, it is difficult to find the origins of Baphomet. However, Baphomet is mentioned as early as the 15th century. Usually linked to the infamous Knights Templar, which we'll get into a bit more later. But it's also debated, did it originate from Islam, Egypt, or Knights Templar? It really is debated. So, other names for Baphomet. God, I hope I don't butcher this. Baphomet, Abufi Hamat, correlations to Sophia, Muhammad, and Baphometus. An occultist, Eliphas Levi. Hopefully I said that right. Eliphas. Thank you. Eliphas Levi, yes, in the 1800s constructed the artistic and symbolic depiction of the Baphomet using Kabbalistic source and ideas. So the symbology of Baphomet, the torch on the head, which you can see right here, between the horns represents the flame of intellect. It represents universal balance and the soul above matter. How our soul can linger, higher above the body, but also materialized in matter into our body, right? Tied to Tiferet in the tree of life, unity with the pentagram on the forehead, with the representation and the balance of the elements and the forces. The wings kind of point out and add that it is a higher dimensional or celestial soul. And yes, the goat, some do reference that to the Sabbats. Yep. All right, so the hands. The hands are really kind of my favorite part when it comes to the symbology of the Baphomet. So
it does. Yes.
It does. All I need now is a crown. Or I want the curled like succubus horns. Yeah. Can we do that? So the right hand is associated with Hasid, and the left, Gabora. I hope I said them right.
I think B is pronounced V, I think.
V, right. Gabora, sorry. So the right hand is up and the left is down. As above, so below. Also, I wanted to add that in alchemy, the left is associated with the moon and divine feminine. The right is with the sun and divine masculine. The counterparts to the alchemical union between two, which you were saying probably possessed about the feminine and the masculine. So yes, it would be pretty much symbolizing as well the alchemical union of the divine masculine and feminine. So the left hand pushes force away, and the right hand draws forces inward. Hence the ability to direct these forces, which unites the divine flux. This also links to the practice in the Kabbalah. This is also why the Magician tarot card is usually depicted with the right hand up and the left hand down. When viewing the Tree of Life, we are standing behind the divinity like a mirror. Eliphas, hopefully I said that right. Yep. Thank you for bringing that up.
No problem.
So Eliphas says, the magician or the microcosmic left beholds God face to face without dying, which I thought quite interesting, right? And it really does speak a lot for a lot of ideas we see in Luciferian or left-hand path, or a lot of multiple practices, really. It's telling. So two of the spears that represent are linked to the hands to the letter Aleph in Hebrew. So we would be talking pretty much about these two. Or wait, they can't see the mouse pointer, can they?
This one right here, the center one, which is associated with the Fool in this particular one. But
right.
Aleph is this right here.
Right. So in the middle there, though, from the way I understand it, and it's mirrored. So the top would represent, of course, the right. The bottom would represent the left. And then the middle, kind of like the middle pillar being the merging of the duality. And it goes a bit deeper than that too, but I'll leave that up to you guys to research. However, gates or spears, I should say, 5 and 4 here represent the hands, and then coming down into 6, and thus creates the merging of a universal law, which is what we're about to get into here. So while studying the corresponds to the hand symbolism, we are talking about also solvet coagula. So the right arm with sol is to dissolve or to separate, whereas coagula on the left arm is to join together into Tiferet, or the 6th spear. They became a combined universal law of forces. This is mentioned in the Emerald Tablets briefly as well. So the Baphomet is depicted with male and female unity into one body of matter as well. Unity, again, between duality is shown with the sex symbolism and the circle behind the caduceus. The serpent's jaw, which represents the beginning, attracts the serpent's tail, which represents the end. And that was a quote from him as well. So the caduceus, I got another quote from you. What's his name?
Eliphas Levi.
Thank you. I'm doing so great today. Eliphas, and I don't know why that's so difficult for me.
Eliphas,
like Elvis and an elephant, like Eliphas.
I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah.
Okay. So in nature, there are two forces producing balance or equilibrium. Together, these three constitute the single law. This is associated with the middle pillar of the Kabbalah. So the right and left are associated with the right and the left of the Kabbalah, but opposite, like a mirror image. So it would be like as if you're standing kind of behind divinity as they're depicting the tree. Where was I? Here we
You
go.
want me to keep showing these, honey?
You can, so they can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about.
So right here's Tipperoth, right here in the center.
Right. And what they're basically saying, what he's saying in his work, is staring at it this way, it's actually backwards, like it's mirrored. But the middle is where it all merges, you know, duality we're talking about here. So, yeah. So pretty much the right here would be the left and the left here would be the right then by his work. So the union of the masculine and feminine on the Baphomet, along with the other unity of dualistic symbols, represents the middle pillar of the Kabbalah, harmony of the balance of duality. The goat head, or the goat of Mendes, or the sabbatical goat. So Baphomet and witchcraft, some see Baphomet as a symbolic occult teaching tool of philosophies and such, which kind of how I view it as well. Others see him as a deity or a demon. And then there are others that think Baphomet is the prophet Muhammad. And when the Knights Templar, they actually, apparently, from some sources I found, they were said to have been accused of worshiping Baphomet as a deity. And they were accused of heresy and homosexuality, as if that's just a horrible thing. It gets on my nerves. But anyway, yeah, by the Catholic Church. So Eliphas actually saw the Baphomet as like the source. Contrary to the devil, he was depicting the Baphomet as the Godhead, the source. I want to make that clear. So also Baphomet is mentioned to believed to be derived from Pan or other primitive Gnostic school teachings in different pantheons like Cernunnos. There's several horned gods that he could be associated with. We'll just put that short. Baphomet is absolute and duality, the divine and humanity, mercy and justice. Aleister Crowley elaborated on Baphomet being the joined of the divine masculine and feminine, and this can take us on a whole different topic about like sex magic, tantra, kundalini, etc. However, that's for an entirely another video because that'll be all on its own. But Crowley also related Baphomet to the zodiac sign Capricorn, which I thought was really interesting. Later, Anton LaVey created the image of Baphomet, or the goat, inside of the tilted pentagram, and became known as the sigil of Baphomet. And this was to represent free thinking. So some... Like, yeah, because some see that, they look at that, the tilted pentagram and the Baphomet head in the middle, the goat head, and they automatically are like, oh, it's evil, it's Satan. So again, I'm going to say that symbol was created by Anton LaVey, who is also known to be like an atheistic Satanist. So they used this as a sigil to express their free thinking and ability to do so for themselves.
Can I just say something really quick, honey?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to just point out really quick, if you look at, the magician first, we start at Kether and go to Bina. The reason I did all these in this order is because you also talk about like then the lovers and the alchemical, right? Well, then when you look at the lovers, Bina goes down into Tipperoth, which is beauty. Right. And
right.
You said that Baphomet is associated also with
beauty. Yes.
And then also, then you take Tiferoth here that goes into Hod and the Devil card and Capricorn.
Mm-hmm.
Now, also, Mercury, the planet Mercury here is what rules the Magician. And then you go on to the Lovers, which is ruled by Gemini or associated with Gemini. But the thing is, Mercury, the planet, if you are learning anything about astrology or know about astrology, actually is the ruler of Gemini, the zodiac sign. So I just want to show really quick, and then I'll take these down, how they all lead into each other. You know what I mean? How they all, so.
Most certainly. Thank you for that, because you start connecting dots. It's what the fun of all this is, you know? So in my own work, I tend to use Baphomet as like the symbol for unity or the merging of duality in every aspect, not just a few mentioned here, but in our world, our matrix here in Malkuth, we'll say, is all about illusions of duality. What's right or wrong? What's good and bad? You know, boy, girl, so on and so on and so on. Right?
You see a combination here? I'm sorry, I can't. Where the devil is actually, they're chained, right? Is that the illusion of still separation? But the lovers are no longer, everything's like backwards. Right. Because it's that alchemical process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's very telling. Rochelle and I were talking earlier this morning about this, and we had put that together. And thank you for sharing that, because it's so interesting, guys. But yeah, so I tend to look at my Baphomet as a symbol, but also a totem for beauty, a totem that represents unity, love, power, self-enlightenment, the burning of my soul, my inner flame, my black flame, right? Yeah. And there are others that talk about using Baphomet, you know, bringing prosperity into your home, beauty, sexuality. It could go on and on depending on the person's practice and beliefs when it comes to Baphomet. Also, when I see Baphomet, pretty much I see a big symbol for the hidden, the occult, the mysteries waiting to be discovered. And then another part of me too, like this is just kind of my own thoughts on this. I can't help but look at Baphomet and then feel Azazel too. And I think that's because I'm working with Azazel right now behind the scenes. It's just Azazel and the goat, I think, why I'm feeling that correlation, but also Azazel and alchemy, because that's what I'm learning with Azazel right now. So it's interesting. And then I have a note here about Metatron. So didn't we also put a few things together about that? Well, I think I'll let Rochelle here take over on her angel, the counterpart, and we'll talk about that.
Well, the thing that I think is really interesting is when we asked the G word, Google, you know, I don't want to say it loud. They got ears. But when we asked earlier who was the most powerful, we asked something different, but it said, would you like to know the most powerful archangel? And it said Metatron. It came back and said Metatron. What I find interesting about Metatron is that Metatron was supposed to be, from what I understand, Enoch. And then Enoch was taken early and seeing the full beauty of God, right? Or seeing this full power of God, and then was turned and transformed into Metatron. And yes. And that's what I wanted to show also. When I was showing the devil also shows that, as well as the magician. But the magician is very much associated with Enoch, who was also associated with Metatron. Metatron is the transformed version of Enoch. So, and Enoch is the archangel of Earth. Or Metatron is the archangel of Earth, which is probably why for us, he would be the most, or they would be the most powerful angel for us, because they rule over our planet that we live on, right? Because other archangels have different planets, but ours just happens to be Metatron, who is also associated. So is Baphomet actually Metatron or Enoch? And doesn't it also say that Baphomet is like God, right?
Yes, when the occultist that Eliphas. I always want to say Eliphas. I don't know why.
Maybe that's correct.
But I do love his work anyway, especially pertaining to the Baphomet. However, yes, he said when he had originally constructed this, that contrary to what people might believe, it has nothing to do with a devil or an adversary. It actually has to do with God, or representing the source.
Right. And also, why Sophia? Why another name for Baphomet would be Sophia? And that is something that I have been also learning about, which is the Sophia dragon tribe. And Sophia being the actual counterpart of God. And it's like the Sophia Christ consciousness. So instead of Jesus, it's Sophia, or instead of God, it's Sophia.
Right. And merge it, the alchemical union that creates God, that creates that law. Yes.
Right.
Also, the circle there behind the caduceus on the Baphomet is supposed to, I guess, in a way, represent that beginning and end unity. And what's interesting to me is when you talked about the dragon thing with Sophia, that again brought my thoughts back to how they were describing, the jaw of the serpent is the beginning, and the tail to the mouth, ending. It's
like an Ouroboros kind of thing.
Exactly. Right? Yes, exactly.
Wow. All right. So this is who we're talking about. And it is Nithhaiah. And let me show you this really quick. Let me get rid of that. That is the actual, let me see if I can make this any, there we go. Which, of course, is your Merkaba, right? Or Merkaba.
Yep.
Which is the union, which all of them pretty much are.
The masculine and feminine, yeah.
Right. So that is like the seal. Or the seal. This is what it says in, let me move this. In this book here, the 72 Angels of Magic. Give power to magic. If you're using any other magic from my books or elsewhere, use this angel to bring extra power to your magic. Sometimes there are blockages that prevent magic from working. The angel may remove them or make you aware of changes that you need to make to get the magic working. Use this when magic isn't going the way that you want, or if you are working on a ritual or of extreme significance to you, which also makes me think of like an alchemical, right? Will help you with an alchemical something process.
Yep.
Also with, and that's another thing that we talked about earlier, that it has to do with not just male and female energy coming together to create, but thought and emotion coming together in order to create and to manifest, right?
Right.
Which is where magic comes into play. Also, discover hidden secrets. This angel can be used in two ways. If you know that there is something that's being hidden from you, ask this angel to bring the information to you. Secondly, it can be used when you are trying to learn more about a particular person, company, or situation. This sort of intelligence gathering is often neglected by occultists, but it can be more important to know the secrets that surround a situation than to attack a problem blindly. And that's kind of like what we were talking about. No matter who you're working with, even if it's another human being, do your research, right? Know what you're doing.
If you even go for a job, your boss is doing background checks on you.
Exactly. And then reveal truth in your dreams. So sometimes it is difficult to discover the truth about a situation. And even when there is evidence in front of you, it can be impossible for you to be certain about what's going on. When you need to know the truth about something, ask this angel to reveal the truth in a dream. The angel does not predict the future, but will reveal the truth to you about any current situation or somebody's thoughts and intentions. And I did not put this in, but rather than try to say this for you guys, I'm just going to show it to you. That is right there. So I'm going to take a screenshot later. That is the invocation or whatever you would do. And it's from Psalms 34:4. And pronounced Nithhaiah. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot it's mirror image with webcams too.
Oh, yep, exactly. Now, in another book, which, did I bring it down here? Yeah. This one, the Book of Angels, Dreams, Signs, and Meditation, it talks that this is the bearer of supreme love and wisdom, which is also Sophia. Oh, yes. Mastery of spiritual forces. Work it, girl. Come on, work it. Study of metaphysics and the Kabbalah. Understands the notion of time. Hears the music of the high spheres. And I wonder if that means also like the music of the planets, the sounds that come from the planets, because this is something that you and I were talking about earlier also, that it's like every pantheon and every culture, their gods are associated with the planets.
Right. And when I was channeling for my book, you remember me telling you about getting information, how every planet puts off a note, every single star, every person, every vibration, literally everything puts off a note, and it's all in sync for the whole of the universe. So we got these four. Yeah, we'll get into that another time. But yes, excellent point, Rochelle.
Can obtain everything. Discovery of the hidden mysteries of creation. Revelations received in meditation and dreams and facilitates visions. Helps find a place in which to meditate. Loves peace, solitude, and silence. A calm person. It says white magic. Wanting other people's well-being and spiritual charisma. I don't know if I necessarily like that. I've heard people talking about, white magic and black magic.
It's the heart. You can be in the left-hand path and have a light heart and be a light worker. You can be on the right-hand path, or say you're on the right-hand path, but be a truly dark person in the soul. It is the soul of the person.
Yeah, I think so too. And the type of magic that they're doing, right?
Right.
But for whatever means, like hexes. Hexes would be considered like darker magic, right?
It would be, yes. Sometimes even healing. If you're using it for any type of selfish purpose, even healing yourself could be considered dark magic. It really is perception, but that's, again, the merging of that duality. There's that gray area,
So it does say for this angel, if this is one of your guardian angels, then you were born between July 23rd to July 27th. If this is your emotional guardian angel, because we have 3 guardian angels, that would be February 1st, April 14th, and June 28th. September 11th. Oh my gosh. November 23rd. And then if this is your intellectual angel, then it would be you were born between 8 a.m. of any time and 8:19 a.m. of any time. So there you go. That's pretty much all I have on this angel. This was really way more about Baphomet.
Yeah. Baphomet, he took up the honors today, but I just love him so much. I do. So yeah, what did you guys think about this? And is there anyone in here that actually was not too familiar about Baphomet, or is there anyone that actually thought he was just a demon or a deity of some type or meant evil? And let me know what you think about the information we brought you pertaining to that. Because in the end, our message is clear. You know,
he does look kind of scary, doesn't he? Based on what religion has said, that's what they look like, right?
But their angels look like that too, which, you know, it stumps me, because even their heavenly angels are said to look, you know, with 3 animal heads and eyes everywhere. And so I think it's that unknown, that uncertainty. Humans do not like uncertainty. And none of us do, you know, by nature. And that may have a lot to do with our primitive survival instincts. So I feel like, because how many times were you guys afraid to do something? Like, I was afraid to jump off a diving board when I first went to a swimming pool. And my friend, I mean, deathly afraid. But I was a good swimmer, loved to swim. I just didn't want to jump off it. Never did it before. But my friend kept nudging me, go, you'll see, it ain't that bad once you do it. Did it once, and all that fear, I realized, was for nothing. In fact, I felt liberated jumping off that diving board and into the water. So then I did it again and again and again. Yeah. And I think we can find these examples, especially in, you know, the practice of witchcraft. If you can put yourself out there enough to be brave enough to explore your own path, your own empowerment, no matter what kind of witch you are, no matter what type of spirituality you believe in, if you are putting yourself out there into what you believe and working with something spiritual, you're brave and you got this, and you're brave enough to uncover this for yourself as well and explore this. Don't let fear hold you back.
It begins the process of liberating yourself, right?
Yes. Enlightenment.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, really it's what it's all about. A lot of these entities, you know, if we don't develop and evolve, they don't either. And I think the universe, and I mean, that's for another topic too, but to touch it vaguely, you know, I think that's kind of a big message we're all getting, you know, the unity. Yeah,
that is why it wasn't until today, when you and I were talking earlier today, that it came to me that it made sense about the chained lovers.
Now, looking at that and not knowing, you're going to go, oh, it's the devil keeping them chained. But he doesn't appear to be harming them in any way. In fact, when they find that liberating light, which the sun also represents Lucifer in certain ways, you know, it breaks those chains and allows you to be who you are and to become the best version of yourself spiritually that you can be. So just a thought, you know, fruit for thought. I just don't want people afraid. Don't be afraid of your own enlightenment. And it don't matter how you find that. And if it's not with demons, that's perfectly okay too. Mm-hmm. It's just, above all, enlightenment, your own, for your own spiritual growth and evolution is what is important. So never fear that, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. I actually sat there and listened to a sermon about knowing too much about looking things up on Google and that it was a sin. Well, of course it is. Because then we would not be dependent upon, that mediator to come in and mediate for us, right?
Right.
I mean, the early church, people didn't even have access to the word. That was only like the clergy that had, the priests and the preachers that had access to the word. So people had to just listen. It was meant to be that way in order to rule. It's like used as a weapon, as a tool.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Finally finished it. We'll be talking about that tomorrow. Kihi.
It's on Amazon. I'm reading it currently. It's really good.
Thank you. Well, all right. We made pretty decent time today. And as always, thank you guys so much for joining us. And I really appreciate it. And I love you all. And remember, don't be afraid. Your torch to enlightenment, let it burn bright.
Right on.
Much love, guys.
Bye, guys.